We're going to do a little talking about the 3-year-olds now. I just finished actually looking at Admiral Dio. Man, what a good-looking horse he is. Harry had him out in the cross ties. He really liked the horse. And from his photos till today, he has shined up pretty good. Nellie and Harry and Bobby have done a great job with this horse. He looks very good on the cross ties now. Probably won't be ready, as I said, till September or thereabouts, but he has looked very good. Talking about looking good, Arson, sparkling winner the other day, 52 in the mud. He looked great. He's in to go Philadelphia tomorrow. Tim Tetrick, I believe, is going to drive him. Blanton's Blue is in Vernon Downs. Mark is going to drive him in the Sire Stake race. Really happy with what I saw from him training the other day. Probably one of the best miles I've ever seen him go was the other day. By himself, for sure. Usually he dogs it and he looks to get out of his work. I didn't see any of that this time. The horse looked really good. Born to Dance was great the other day too. Looked very good in the race. Very happy with what I've seen from Born to Dance. Did not know. We sold Did Not Know. It was a chore actually. Just nobody wanted her. No bids. A couple of people called and then they were hemming and hawing and didn't really get anything done. Finally we got it done. She will be leaving the barn. Dominion the other day. A little mixed result. Sure 2-1, 29 on the end of it. A number of people saying, well, maybe just that's not in place for him. He's had one lifetime start. I think there'd be no reason to move him right away or say, oh, he can't do there. Cut the horse some slack. He's raced once in his life. We'll race him again this coming week and see how he's racing into shape. Listen, in a few starts, if we say, hey, he's just not quite good enough for Mohawk, fine, he can go to Grand River. He's not good enough for Grand River, then he'll go to Northfield or the Meadows, I guess. We'll find a spot for Dominion. If he's going to trot and wants to do his work, we'll find a spot for him to do it. Don't worry about that. Don't talk about Bruno. I talked to Jay today. He felt bad. Lawrence got roughed up bad the other night. Raced great the week before. Has made the final. So we'll see what he draws and how he does in the final. And we'll see what he's made of. Yeah, you get beat up. Let's see how he bounces back next week. I'll be keeping a very close eye on our boy Bruno. Drebin looked great the other day and now coming back on 7 days notice. I hope he gets in on Thursday. I can't wait to see this guy race. He actually looked very good trotting the other day. Flash Fly was sick. 6 out of 10 or 3 to 5. And for mucus, and then her come back today, and her GGT was 47 on a scale of 0 to 36. That may not sound very high to you, but to some horses it is exceptionally high. And I suspect Flashfly is one of those. George of the Jungle also got roughed up. Probably just going to come back in 12 days in the maiden with him. Not going to bother going to the City of London final with George of the Jungle. He's a big, big colt. I'm trying to keep him off a half as much as we can. I thought if he went down there and manhandled them, fine, he'd be a good candidate for the final, but he didn't. Decent, okay group of horses, and just no need to go back. Great Bet. A lot of people asked me this week about Great Bet. He schooled yesterday in 156. James said he was good. I said, Dom, he goes, do you want to take him to Mohawk? He said, I don't want to race him in the grassroots. I said, that's probably because he can't win a grassroots. I suspect that's why. So why don't we aim for a maiden, or I guess not a maiden, non-winners of 2 at Flamborough or Grand River or something, or London, wherever. Just put him in where he can do. So he was happy with his qualifier. He is not going to the grassroots. And before anybody says why, I just answered it because he is not good enough to win the grassroots. I'm not paying to race non-winners of 2 company. If you're not top 5 grassroots, don't bother. Sure, you might sneak in there and win on a super long shot, but it's unlikely. And I just don't think it makes a lot of sense for us to be doing that. So he's not going to the grassroots for a while, if at all. Gypsy Hill will be going to the grassroots in Ohio. He was awesome his last start. He's got the rail in the final. The horse, one of the 2 horses to beat, drew the 10 hole, which is trailing post. No Nap Nash. Dan Noble's other horse drew the 6 hole. Our other horse drew the 8 hole. So we'll see how that all plays out on Monday, holiday Monday here in Ohio. Insider Trading, happy to... Oh, wait, I jumped over a horse. Jumped over 2 horses. Hallie in the Clouds, I thought raced good. Again, I spoke to Jay today about Hallie in the Clouds. He said, well, if I had known that she was, I didn't know her. I said, well, how could you? She's never raced on a half in her life. Now you know her. He said, she'll be good. If she draws good in the final, she'll be good. She was really safe, and I really like her. She looked like she raced good to me. I'm Fancy Like raced great the other day, running down the leader at 154 and 3. I forgot to talk about Fancy in the opening. I knew I missed a horse. She was awesome the other day. Lifetime mark, first Lasix. She was great. Insider trading. Tim told me today trained very, very good. So she's healthier now, he said. And most importantly, no blood, tiny bit of mucus found in insider trading. That is very important. Irresistible Sun. This guy draws so bad. Like, so bad. 8 again in the final. That is really, really hard to believe that a horse could draw that bad. J-Port Beach Boy finished second the other day. His days are numbered with us. If he doesn't get in this week, you may not ever see him race for us again. There's a sale in Preferred on June the 3rd, and he will likely find his way. No, check that. He will absolutely find his way into that sale. I'm being blunt, and I'm being a little curt with everybody in this horse for the simple reason we have a barn full of horses that want to work their butts off, and then we have some that don't. Well, the some that don't can go somewhere else. And the ones that do, we're going to focus on all of our energy on. And that is the way the stable will run. And it always has. No, I will go to bat for a Lover's Play. It wasn't even one I made yet because she is tough. She wants to be a better horse every time she goes on the track. And I'm sorry, but a minute spent on a horse that doesn't want to race, in my mind, is almost a minute wasted. Right? We've done all we can to make sure that these horses are the best forms of themselves they can be. But ultimately, it does boil down to them. And when you have horses that don't want to race or don't want to be effective, you just don't really have time for them. So, J-Port Beach Boy, although he's an okay horse, and I don't mind the horse as far as horses go. He's a good-looking horse, big, good-looking, strong horse. But again, he's just a horse. Lonely Lakewood, I can't help but thinking the other side of it. I think he does want to race. I think he does want to work. But you can't race horses on a 2-week schedule. And I think this might be the last week that we race horses in Oak Grove that aren't 2-year-olds, except for Memory and Arson and Pickpocket when they go down there. It was a bad spot. I think I under-equipped Eric and his wife Kathy to do a job, and it didn't go well. And that's on me. Regardless, it's on me. And I hope that we can rectify that. Do we go down next year just closer to the 2-year-old season? It's possible. Do we regroup and send better horses, different horses? That's possible. But I definitely do not ever want to repeat that again, for sure. So Lonely Lakewood, it's impossible to race a horse, a 3-year-old on 2 weeks. 2 weeks. It just doesn't work. And I would suspect that this might be his last start in Kentucky. We'll see. Again, we'll see how he races this week. Lover's Play raced decent. Again, a little bit of mucus in there, trying to get that cleaned up. We'll see how she races this week. Mick Paisley made a break in her qualifier. Probably going to qualify her Friday, and then she's going to leave. Listen, and for the people out there saying, Nancy, you pay to train these horses down, then you just get rid of them. Well, if they're not going to do you any good, what would be the point of keeping them? For every time there's a Mick Paisley, you're going to find a Drebin or a George of the Jungle and those types of horses. Hallie in the Clouds that do want to go out and do the work. And Mick Paisley's just an okay horse. It's going to be very difficult to find a consistent place to race her where she's good. And I'm sure there's a lot of people out there that like Mick Paisley. I've done everything. Dominic has done everything he can to put her in the best position she can. She's just an okay horse. Mel Gibswan continues to improve, a 1:57 the other day. He's getting there, slowly but surely, baby steps, every step one at a time. He's getting there a little bit better every week. Memory and Imagination was absolutely fantastic in his last race. He'll be going into a stake race next Friday. Militant, just another horse. I can't blame the horses if they can't get it on Eric's fault. But if you're getting in every 2 weeks, it's really hard to make a splash. When you're a 5, 6, 7 to 1 horse, you're getting in every 2 weeks. It's just really hard to stay out of double digits. What I mean by that is 10 to 1, 20 to 1, 30 to 1. And that's just no good for anybody. If you're going to make a living racing 30 to 1 shots, you're not going to make much of a living at all, I would suspect. Where are we at here? Militant Mounts for All races on Monday. Really happy with what I've seen from this horse, and I'm super excited to see him race this summer. Pickpocket, it wasn't like a weight was lifted because he is a nice horse. My take on Pickpocket was simple. Is he a Grand Circuit stake caliber horse, or is he just a really nice trotter? We all knew he wasn't a bad horse. He's a good horse, but what form of good horse? one giant step forward in the right direction yesterday. Great job by Tim, and now Megan, and now Scotty racing the horse. He just drove the horse great. Just a tremendous drive by him, and the horse was fantastic. Prince Charmer raced great the other day. A tremendous job by me. No, I just drove him. He raced okay. Kind of weaved through and ended up second, but a very, very good second in Ohio. He raced amazing the other day. Pull the Shoes shouldn't really be on this list. She's bred, and hopefully in full. We bred her. She had a breeding ready to. She was ready to breed. We ended up securing a breeding to Tactical Approach. Now, for those who maybe are surprised by this and don't know what I'm talking about, Pull the Shoes put a line in her foot in her last, her training mile, but I suspect her last race. And they're just, the timing was there to breed her, so we bred her to Tactical Approach, and hopefully she catches. Where are we at here? Purple People Eater raced amazing the other night. Huge mile, but not even the speed or the way she did it in the mud, but it was the way she was versatile. She's always been a leave sit type of horse. To get her wrangled back into the 5 or 6 hole and then circle the field win, that was impressive. That was an impressive mile from that filly. Ready for Landing was awesome. Anytime you just beat up on horses you're supposed to on the front, I guess it's hard to give top marks, but coming off a couple of really lackluster efforts and then seeing him come over and be manageable. 27-4, 58-1, and then manhandle them 55-2. It's a good mile for Ready for Landing. I was proud of what he did. Really don't care. We'll be racing in Vernon Downs, our first stake race south of the border for Jared Bothwell. Now, I don't know who's going to drive. I'm going to be up front with everybody. Mark told me that he cannot stay for Really Don't Care on, I believe it's Monday. Yeah, it's Monday. I'm not sure who we'll get yet, but we'll figure that out. Sunset Acres Girl is pretty well ready to qualify. She's been in 2.5. I don't know how much Jason trained her yesterday, but she's very, very close to qualifying. Sweeney, 5th the other night. He's back in to go at Northfield this week. Time is on my side. 4th, not as good on the front end, and hopefully they race him from off the pace this week. I'm sure they will. A nice colt, and I can't wait to see how he races in Philadelphia. Victory Blue Chip is going to make his way over to Tim's Barn and race next week in the Stallion Series. We'll see how he races. Watch Your Mouth continues to train and get closer in Ontario. And Widespread Panic. Widespread Panic was awesome. The other day, 2 weeks ago, he was awesome. And then the other day, made a break on Chris Lems in the first turn. He's not an easy horse to drive. You have to know him. I bet you if I gave Christian Lems 10 more chances to drive that horse, he wouldn't run any of them. Once you drive him once, you know what you're in for. But until you drive him that one time, it's really hard. I may have just said nothing and just said don't back him into a hole. But anyway, it's done. The one takeaway from this race is it's not one as a one or money. You can only win it once more. He will likely win it next week if he behaves, which I suspect he will, and then we'll go from there. So with that, you're all caught up in your 3-year-olds, your 4-year-olds, your opening. Just got the 2-year-olds left. It's quite a bit to talk about with the 2-year-olds. We'll get to that in just a minute.